fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's at top
Oh
one!
my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
It's that time again, that wonderful, wonderful time where we take the Lucas Oil Off-Road Pro 2 trucks out of their comfort zone and put them on magnificent road courses all around the world. It's the Pro Truck Showdown. Big thanks to our series supporters, Scamander Coffee Mug, Allstate Security Tasmania, and Hot Toddy's Heating Installs. Here on SimSpeed TV this Wednesday night, we're bringing you the fourth round of the championship from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My name is Reese Gardner. Cameron Dance is with me in the commentary box for this one, as always. G'day, Cam. We've had 4 excellent rounds so far at Watkins Glen, at Silverstone, at Phillip Island, at Barcelona as well. And it just keeps on going, this championship. We're now at the next round, and we are at the Brickyard. It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, it certainly is. And that run from pretty much the exit of the infield all the way to turn 1 is really going to provide some mega passing opportunities. And who knows what's going to happen in terms of who's going to finish where, because that's going to cause a huge amount of draft and it's going to be a massive drag race to the line. So absolutely looking forward to this one and really looking forward to seeing what sort of drag races to the line we're going to see.
Yeah, we're sure to see quite a few of them because the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course is one of those places where draft is king. And it is, of course, the home of racing in North America, hosting the Indianapolis 500. It goes without saying. And the road course in particular dates from about 2009 to 2010. It is a bit different in the real world now, but this layout has certainly produced some fantastic racing on the iRacing service, and this is the layout that we're going to be racing. It's a long run down to turn 1, a chicane to start off the lap, and a series of twisty S's in the infield before we go to another series of S's where there's going to be a great overtaking opportunity at turn 10, potentially. Then it's all about the exit out of turn 11, and you are down onto the start-finish straight once again. Very long run to turn 1 as well, so if you get a good start, then you're going to carry that advantage all the way into turn 1.
Certainly are, and who knows how many cars are going to actually possibly be able to pass on the way into turn number 1 as well. You could be 5 cars back from 3 drivers in front of you at the start of, on the exit of turn 11, and then by the time you get to turn 1, you could be ahead of those 3. So it's really going to be a matter of timing your passes right and using the draft to your advantage to make sure you're not losing out too much to those around you. So it's really going to be a lot of mind games and using your head really in this particular round especially.
Yes, indeed. We just saw Gary Wellman cross the line, just at a time good enough for 15th in the session so far. It's currently topped by Mitchell McLeod, and once again, Ben Snell is pushing him hard. 78 thousandths of a second behind him, which is really awesome to see. Close times as usual. How will Joshua Walton do meanwhile? One of the drivers to have not set a time on the board just yet. We're still missing times from Sam Devantier, Tim Crowley, Dylan Burse, and Caleb Hides. They've all set times in the practice session, and that the turn he just went through there, turn 10, incredibly tight corner, and it's very difficult to get it lined up for that right-hander immediately following it as well, because you use all the curb and you can get a fantastic line through that corner and an optimum run onto the start-finish stretch, but they do have one more turn to go before that is an eventuality through the banked final turn, and the truck looks almost level through that banked turn because of the amount of body roll.
It certainly does. I'm actually surprised they're even able to go flat out through there. I would have thought the truck might have just not been able to quite give enough grip, but it appears to. I mean, Walton will put himself on P16 in the grid.
Indeed he shall, and we'll take a look at the other slots here for the first race of the night. We've got 5 laps coming up for you very shortly. And it is Mitchell McLeod and Ben Snell who share the front row. Again, less than a tenth of a second between the two of them. Kay Donnelly and Ryan Meyer are on row 2, with Justin Howe and Sam Stride taking up the third row of the grid. Lockie Dalton and Daniel Stevens lining up 7th and 8th, with Aaron Dillon, the reigning champion, and Dwayne Priest rounding out the top 10.
We're going to have Philip Howe and Harry Tompkins on row 6, row 7, Westbrook and Trees, followed by Wellman and Walton on row 8, Morganti and Burris on row 9, Hides and Devante are rounding out the top 20 on row 10, and then Billy Carey and Tim Crowley rounding out the 22-car field.
Indeed, and we're not too sure if Billy Carey is actually going to take the start here, because he didn't set a time in practice. But things are starting to move along. There's still a minute on the gridding time to go, and I think with Billy Carey not being present on the grid, these guys are going to be waiting a while. But you get a sense of just how long the run is to turn 1 from that shot, and you see how much space there is on the starting grid for drivers to move around and find a bit of space. That is optimal, because some of the tracks we've been to in the Pro Truck Showdown, it can get quite tight off the grid.
Yeah, it certainly can, and there's concrete walls either side of you as well, so you probably don't really want to end up in an incident, because it's just going to create chaos, and we'll see what happens though.
We shall do. The timer is down to 0, the revs are rising, and we are live for round 5 of the Pro Truck Showdown. It's a great start from Mitchell McLeod. He's completely smashed the rest of the field, and have a look at the run from Ryan Meyer as well. He's just snuck through there into second as they go 4 wide behind for third place. That's a big draft from Lockie Dalton and Daniel Stevens behind this big pack of cars, and looks like Ben Snell's just beaten them into turn 1, but there's Justin Howe around the outside of Ben Snell and up the inside into turn 3 to take third place. So it is McLeod, then Meyer, then Howe, all 1, 2, 3, but have a look at them all go wide there in turn 4. Amazing that Justin Howe was able to hold on to that. They were all slowing each other up behind.
Yeah, they certainly will, and it's a bit of a check-up going on in this little scrabble that's going on. Stridey ends up copping a whack. Oh, that's a whack as well for everybody else involved in that. It's all going off in these first few corners.
Ben Snell didn't use the track at all through that turn, and unfortunately he's lost out again on the exit. It's going to be Daniel Stevens on his side, but it looks like a good exit there from Ben Snell. He's going to cover them off as the field sweeps into these S's for the first time. Looks pretty calm up at the front, but Lockie Dalton just sliding his way through versus Kay Donnelly and Daniel Stevens, and Donnelly and Stevens making contact. You see those cars bunched up there in the middle of the screen. That's what I'm referring to, and there's a big spin there at turn 10, and the number 13 of Lockie Dalton is on his roof.
Yeah, that's not what he will have hoped for at all, and it was contact from behind as well. Can't quite remember who it was. I think it was Daniel Stevens who ended up making contact, trying to fit into a gap that didn't really exist, unfortunately, and from there it's all just turned into a bit of a mess.
Yeah, many other drivers involved in that one as well, and they're going to have to take stock of that and continue regardless. Dalton is now back in the pits as we go back to live pictures. McLeod still leads the race, but Ryan Meyer has closed up on him in the draft as we see Mr. Dillon making a pass on Sam Stride into turn 1, battling for the top 5 here, and they've got Ben Snell for some company just behind them, but that lead battle has really closed up as we take a look further back in the field. There's passes going on all over the place, and that looks to be Caleb Hides putting a move on Gary Wellman, and oh no, Gary Wellman there in the 45 almost getting turned around as there's an awful lot of piffo down there in the back. I just saw Brian Trezise get hit wide by Damian Westbrook coming into turn 5.
Yeah, there certainly is a lot of biff and barge going on further back in the field at the moment. You can see it's just been like an absolutely chaotic start at the moment, but back to the front of the field, and Sam Stride putting the pressure on Aaron Dillon at the moment, and he's got some company just behind him in the form of Ben Snell as well. So Snell's probably going to be looking to try and gain two for one here if he can, and still very, very close at the front.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the draft down the front stretch is what's keeping Ryan Meyer in contact with Mitchell McLeod, because his exits have not been optimal. Meanwhile, for third on back, it's a 4-car train here. That's Justin Howe up at the front of this, and we look back from Sam Stride and then Justin Howe as they go through the last turn. And this is where the draft is really going to come into play. You can already see Aaron Dillon starting to gain on Justin Howe down the front stretch out of the final turn. This could be a move into turn 1. They've lost touch completely with Meyer and McLeod. When does Dillon pull out? Now, just as they get to the braking zone, but he's not quite brave enough. Justin Howe has been able to hold him off there and cover off the inside perfectly. That has closed all of these guys up, though, so they're going to have to be careful.
Yeah, they certainly are going to have to be careful. I'm actually surprised that McLeod's actually held on to the lead for as long as he has. Meyer really hasn't been able to challenge him at all down the front straight on the way into turn number 1, but this is definitely on and busy at the moment as Wellman's got his hands full with those around him, and it's certainly looking like it's not a very peaceful time around that part of the circuit.
Yeah, Caleb Hyde's there attempting a pass on Damian Westbrook, but had to back out of it, so that compromised him. Now he's back into the clutches of Gary Wellman as we check back in with our third place battle. Justin Howe has only 0.3 of a second back to Aaron Dillon, and McLeod and Meyer there up at the front of the field. They look like they're in their own little world at the moment, so got to keep an eye out here for the reigning champion in the pink and black truck. But the lads racing number 78 seems nice and smooth here. Justin Howe has been one of the star competitors of this series, and he certainly knows what it's like to get podiums. Meanwhile, Ryan Meyer, well within draft range of Mitchell McLeod here, coming down onto the final corner. Under 0.5 of a second now between the two of them. Just closing ever so slightly, 100th by 100th, the more distance they cover. And it looks like this is going to be a fairly easy move for Ryan Meyer. He's going to be up alongside McLeod before they even get to the braking zone. But oh no, he's not going for it. He's bump drafting McLeod down into the first turn. And I think that's that might actually be quite a wise strategy there from Ryan Meyer, because if they go side by side in the first couple turns, slow each other up, then that just brings the third place battle right into it. So I think Meyer just biding his time and waiting for the last possible moment to make a move on McLeod, as we see another pass there in the opening turns. That looked like Philip Howe getting past Daniel Stevens.
Yeah, it was actually Daniel Stevens getting on by Kate Donnelly in contact between Howe and Stevens, and Donnelly off the road as well, getting a little bit deep into the corner, and he's going to end up sliding in behind, well, just in front of Harry Tompkins. Tompkins very, very close and looking like he's possibly going to try and set up a move here, but yeah, that was very, very close, and like you said, not a bad play by Ryan Meyer to just sit behind for now and wait till that last lap.
Yeah, well, by bump drafting McLeod, it means that they can extend the gap out the front while the guys battle behind for third. But it seems like the situation between Donnelly and Tompkins has calmed down for now, and we'll check back in with our third place battle, because have a look at this. Justin Howe has actually managed to break free of Aaron Dillon, and it seems that Sam Stride and Ben Snell have fallen way back from them.
A little bit odd as to how that sort of come about, because they weren't really fighting all that hard as well. So yeah, a little bit odd that that's managed to somehow happen, but nevertheless, it's certainly going to have brought Justin right back into this lead pack.
Yeah, we ride on board with Philip Howe though, because this is quite intense here. Versus Daniel Stevens coming out of the final turn, and Howe just a little bit wide. He goes a little defensive now versus Stevens. They've got Dwayne Priest right in front of them, so Howe is getting a draft himself, and it could be an inside move coming into turn 1. There's Priest on the right and Howe on the left, but Priest a little bit braver on the brakes, just tips it in to the first turn and covers the move. And oh no, that's Howe and Stevens making contact, and Philip Howe has been spun around.
Yeah, really, really unfortunate for Philip there to end up copping a whack. He nearly held onto it as well, but unfortunately Stevens left with nowhere to go, and then just got help from behind by Joshua Walton as well. So a little bit unfortunate there for Philip, and he will be a little bit dirty about that, but unfortunately it has happened. And Snell's all over the back of Sam Stride now as well, so possibly going to see a position change there on the way down to the front straight.
Yes, indeed. Ben Snell right on the back of Sam Stride as we check in with our leaders. Just going through the S's section now. That's a late move there from Ben Snell. Can he pull it up in time? Oh, he's going to have a red hot go at it. It looks like he's managed to cover off Stridey there and keeps the inside for the right-hander. That means that for left-hand turn 10, he's got the move completed. Good job there from Ben Snell, a very brave move, but I think Stridey is going to get him right back once they get onto the start-finish straight that the leaders are approaching now. Mitchell McLeod, Ryan Meyer, and Justin Howe. It's now a three-way battle for the lead of this race, and Aaron Dillon is lurking there in the background. He'll want to try and jet up to the back of these guys as soon as he can, but McLeod, it's out of time. It's going to be a race win for Mitchell McLeod, and Meyer and Howe completing the podium there. Very short race there, and very close between Ben Snell and Mr. Stride. That was quite the battle towards the end. Who's going to win between Howe and Wellman? Looks like Gary Wellman just almost across the line. He had nearly half a truck length on him, did Philip Howe, but holds on to 12th place there.
Yeah, very, very close finish there between a number of the competitors, but it's certainly a bit of a display show going on at the exit of 2-1. But I'm actually surprised that Ryan Meyer didn't quite actually close up towards Mitchell McLeod as quick as he possibly could have. So maybe the draft isn't as strong around here.
Perhaps, or maybe he missed a potential opportunity. Either way, that's how the results stack up. And it was going to be Aaron Dillon and Ben Snell rounding out the top 5 with Dwayne Priest following them. We're going to move on very quickly because, man, just like that, we are into the second race of the night. We get an extra 2 laps to play with. As we take a look at the rest of our field, it wasn't a great run for Damien Westbrook, could not advance very far forward. And Kay Donnelly could have gotten a top 10 as well. Lockie Dalton, unfortunately, retiring from the first race. But by virtue of his win, Mitchell McLeod also gets pole position for this second race. And it's Ryan Meyer and Justin Howe behind him, with Aaron Dillon completing the second row. And Snell, Stride, Priest, Walton, Stevens, and Tompkins are your top 10. So, haven't got much time here until the drivers get going. Only a few seconds left until the gridding period is over and can go right again for race 2. The Pro Truck Showdown at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Can McLeod take 2 wins from 2 so far tonight? We'll find out in a second.
I think someone just jumped the start there by the looks of it as well, further back in the pack.
Yeah, that might be a penalty coming in from Automated iRacing Race Control, but it's a nice consistent start amongst everyone. No one's really gotten a huge gain on anyone else, but have a look at Aaron Dillon, trying to go all the way up the inside into turn 1. He hesitated, but then he went for it, and oh no, bit of oversteer on entry. And there are 3 trucks up and flipping over in the turn 1 runoff area, one of them being Daniel Stevens, and another being Damien Westbrook. So that's very unfortunate for them as, it's all on there at the front of the field. It looks like Aaron Dillon has been hit off the track. He's now back in the field. Mitchell McLeod with a big lead now over Justin Howe, who heads up the pack behind, and that's big contact between Dwayne Priest and Ryan Meyer in the 5th turn here, or 6th turn rather. Out onto the straight once more. Meyer getting the power down beautifully, but I don't think he'll get the run that he wants on Dwayne Priest. Trying his best to find a way through on the inside, but Priest going mid-track and covering him. It's going to be a big outbreaking maneuver for Ryan Meyer into turn 8, and big contact, and oh no, that's it. That's forced both of them behind. Joshua Walton just had nowhere to go, pushing his way past them there, and down into turn 10 they go. A fair whack copped there by Ryan Meyer, and around goes. Oh, this is crazy. I have no words, man. This first lap has just been on all the way through. Tim Crowley and Ryan Meyer. It just seems like a race of attrition to start things off, and can Meyer get on the inside of the last turn?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be able to do it on Crowley, but Crowley's going to hold around the outside and have the momentum on his side, and Hides is not too far behind as well, so it's going to be a drag race down to the line and be in favour of Crowley by the looks of it ever so slightly. But who's going to get the way on? Well, who's going to be the deepest on the brakes in the way into turn number 1? It's looking like it's going to be Crowley who's going to do it around the outside.
Yeah, holding on, and he's got the inside for turn 2, which means he'll be able to just shuffle himself in front of front of Ryan Meyer there. Caleb Hides, though, smells blood and attempts to go for a move there on Meyer. Just a bit of contact at the back. Sam Devantier now involved in this, and Brian Trezise right on the back as well. This is a great fight here for the last few positions in the top 10. Crowley trying his best to defend it. Oh no, making it 3 wide on entry is Mr. Caleb Hides. And it looks like that's bumped Tim Crowley almost out of contention, but it just continues. Everyone sees an opportunity and goes right for it. Well, it didn't work out for Brian Trezise. He got himself flipped for his troubles.
Yeah, he certainly did it in the end, and it was wheel contact from behind as well from the car of Devantier, so not exactly how he will have hoped, and a number of these drivers not really having the best of races at all.
Yeah, no, we're seeing an awful lot of trucks in the pits. Ricardo Morganti, Damian Westbrook, Gary Wellman, Harry Tompkins, Daniel Stevens has got damage repaired. It was Dwayne Priest who was turned around at turn 10, just to clarify my point earlier. Meanwhile, we look at the fight coming down into the final corner between Philip Howe and Joshua Walton. Those guys were together in the infield, and now both of them have the draft on Stride and Snell just up ahead, the battle for the top 6. Joshua Walton just biding his time here in the straight, in the draft. There's no way he can make a move down here just yet, but oh, car coming out of the pits just alongside. No, that is a very deep run into the first turn for Walton. That's knocked Howe a cropper and made him lose a little bit of time there to Sam Stride and Ben Snell. But Dwayne Priest has now come back out of the pits in amongst all of this, and he's not going to be racing for position here, so he's going to have to be careful about what he does. Meanwhile, Snell and Stride, a little bit of bumper-to-bumper contact, and Snell just trying to tap Stride out of the way. It seems like that's worked out for him, just sent Stride wide with a little bump, and now he's secured that move. He is back then into 3rd place.
Yeah, certainly is. And Philip Howe's not too far behind as well as Dylan and Walton, so they kind of have to be a little bit careful that they don't start fighting a little too hard as he's going to try around the outside. There's been Snell on Sam Stride, and he's managed to get it done. He's going to have Morganti just in front of him as well, who is a lap down, so lap traffic's going to be playing a bit of havoc here, and that's going to result in Stridey with an opportunity. He's going to look to the outside, not going to happen. Howard's going to send it up the inside though, and now Priest and everyone else is involved in this.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Howe, and along they go. Ricardo Morganti goes wide to let them through, and Dwayne Priest, have a look at Priest there down at the bottom of the screen. I think that was a very optimistic entry into the penultimate turn here, but I really don't blame him. It's quite a stressful situation to be in, coming out in the midst of guys racing for position, and you're not with them. Oh, Ricardo Morganti got into the wall on the outside of the last turn as well, which almost sent Philip Howe into the stratosphere, but nothing doing for now, especially for those guys, Sam Stride and Ben Snell. No change for position between the two of them, but that looks like a very messy pack of cars, and oh no, that's Morganti up and over. Poor Ricardo. He has not had a great time in this series, and that, I think, just won't help things. Ben Snell, meanwhile, got a slowdown penalty, which is something that can happen at turn 1. There's an awful lot of tarmac on the inside, and you see there, Snell just went beyond the curb on the inside of the corner. That's how he got that slowdown penalty, and poor Ricardo Morganti on his side once again. We're going to get a bit of an onboard view or another perspective of this incident. It looks to me like, was that Dwayne Priest coming in there and tapping him in the rear? No, it was Joshua Walton.
Yeah. Walton just going a little bit deep on the brakes and just unfortunately not being able to pull it up in time.
Well, Ricardo will be licking his wounds, and hopefully we see him again in the final race of the night. Meanwhile, we see this battle that Joshua Walton has involved himself in. Aaron Dillon right behind him for 6th place here. And Walton's going to have a lot of pressure on him here. Aaron Dillon, the reigning champion of the Pro Truck Showdown. He knows how to win races in these trucks. Have a look at the amount of rubber getting put down by these trucks. They slide through every single turn. They don't have slick tires. They've got treaded off-road racing tires, and they are very soft, as is the suspension. So Mechanical grip is a must in these things. Walton goes defensive and forces Dillon to go to the outside. Almost a bit of side-by-side contact in the middle of the straight as Lockie Dalton now sees an opportunity to get 2 for 1. We'll see if he can do it. Aaron Dillon turns in, but Joshua Walton is not going anywhere and keeps that position locked down for now.
Yeah, he certainly does. Although a bit of biff and barging. Dillon's going to force his way up the inside. And so is Lockie Dalton. So Dalton going to gain another position there. And Walton, unfortunately, going to be left to hang out to dry and lose 2 for 1.
Yeah, unfortunately, but he still has a chance down the straight if he can keep with these guys. They got 2 laps to go next time they cross the line. Dillon a little bit wide there through the corner, but that allows him to cover off the inside for the next corner. See if the number 13 of Lockie Dalton can get a move on him in the infield. I don't know how likely it is. Meanwhile, looks like Philip Howe's got his hands full with Ben Snell for 4th and 5th place, coming up into turn 10 now. They've got Dwayne Priest right behind them. Of course, a lapped car, not for position, but he's still keeping them very honest. And you see how much of the inside of that corner they're taking. It's all legal to use in iRacing, all of that curb and tarmac, but it's just a case of lining it up for the optimum exit. I do like Ben Snell's helmet. That's a very nice touch.
Yeah, it certainly is a very, very nice touch to be Mario-inspired sort of helmet, but nevertheless, it's certainly not really making him all that quick for the time being, as he's still stuck behind Philip Howell on the way down to turn number 1. Not quite going to be close enough to make a move, although it could be if he's brave enough, but we'll see what happens as they get down on the way to turn number 1. Brakes as late as he can, but decides to just sit station.
Yeah, Philip Howell was pointing himself towards the inside of the corner the moment he hit the braking zone, but Snell could have a chance here. He's gone all the way over the curb, and now side by side, he was briefly ahead of Philip Howell there. How brave is he going to be on the brakes? Well, just catching a bit of the grass with some oversteer, that he turns that into an over-under opportunity. Now he's got the inside on Philip Howell. Can Philip continue his run here? Oh, almost going off the circuit in his defense against Ben Snell, but he's holding on magnificently here, side by side once again into the next turn, and Snell is given room by Philip Howell. Side by side again onto the straight. This is going to be an outbraking maneuver for Philip Howell. He's got to be very careful though, because Ben Snell knows how to make moves in these corners.
Yeah, he certainly does. Brakes very late. Does Snell to drive it around the outside.
Look at that.
Well, hold it around the outside of Philip Howell, who's not really going to be able to do anything. He's going to have to back out of it and sitting behind. So Ben Snell is going to take another position off Philip Howell.
Yeah, there we go. Taking all of the inside and then some of turn 10, but it looks like no slowdown for the time being. We haven't been looking at the lead because, as you can see from the timing tower on the left, there's really no battle. Mitchell McLeod is 2.8 seconds ahead of Justin Howe, really took advantage of the melee on the first lap, and he's got a pretty much unassailable lead now. Check in with the rest of the top 5. There's Howe and Snell continuing their fight, and Philip now into the draft. This is going to be fun coming down to turn 1. Pulls out to the inside, and let's see how brave he is. Snell is braver on the racing line. He's got the extra grip and tips it in. Dwayne Priest had a bit of trouble pulling it up there, but fortunately kept out of their hair. It is the final lap now, though, so there's not going to be many other opportunities to make a move.
Yeah, there certainly is, and it was very, very close there by Dwayne Priest to nearly get into the back of Philip Howell, but managed to just barely pull it up in the end. So very, very brave, but a little bit too brave, I think, for the situation that he was in. But it's certainly on just behind as Walton and Meyer going side by side on the way through the infield, and looks like it's going to be a move made by Walton.
Yeah, good stuff there from Joshua Walton. He takes 8th position back there from Ryan. They've been fighting hard for the last couple of laps as well. Meyer could have another chance here because Walton just going a bit wide on the exit, compromised his throttle application. Actually doesn't look like it's hurt him that much. There's a lot of space on the outside of that turn that you can use to keep your momentum up. And no passing into 8, 9, and 10 for the time being, but a bit of contact nonetheless. Maya's going to try and stick it round the outside of 9 for an inside run into 10, and it's not worked out for him. Joshua Walton gets half spun around, and that is position for Ryan Maya. But for Mitchell McLeod, it's going to be 2 from 2 so far tonight. He takes the win in the second race of this round of the Pro Truck Showdown. It's going to be Justin Howe across the line in second. Sam Stride, a fantastic drive from him, started in 6th and completes the podium for his efforts, and Ben Snell managing to beat out Philip Howe for that 4th place.
Yeah, certainly. And it was a drag race to the line between Dylan and Dalton, and Dalton's barely managed to come away with the position there. Only 5 thousandths of a second between the two of them across the line.
Let's have another look at that. Across the line here between Dalton and Dylan, and wow, they actually made contact just before the line as well. Across the bricks they go, and oh man, how close do you want to get? That's Lockie Dalton ahead by less than a bumper. You love to see it.
Yeah, you certainly do. They got their elbows out in the end to try and decide that one, but certainly what a race from McLeod to end up taking out another race win.
Yes, by 2.8 seconds over Justin Howe, with Stride, Snell, and his father, Philip Howe, completing the top 5. It was Dalton and Dylan, 5 thousandths across the line. Maya managed to beat Joshua Walton, and Caleb Hides rounded out the top 10.
You're going to go over the page, and you're going to have Sam Devantier, followed by Cade Donnelly in 11th and 12th. 13th, Tim Crowley with Brian Treziz after rolling it in turn 1 as well. Comes home in 14th. Daniel Stevens as well after rolling comes home 15th. Tompkins in 16th. And Dwayne Priest, Wellman, Morganti, and Westbrook rounding out the field.
Yes, Dylan Burse unfortunately not taking the start there that time around. And Billy Carey, once again, allegedly in the server, but hasn't actually turned a lap in any session for the time being. So, now it's time for the expression session. A quick 5-minute letdown for the drivers, just to get themselves prepared for this final race of the night. We do have an opportunity to take a look at the start, though, of that second race, because Cam, there was so much to dissect from this initial getaway. It was a very stressful start for all of these drivers.
Yeah, it certainly was. There was Dylan going sideways. You had 3 cars rolling over. It was really a lot of carnage going on, especially in that back when you had the likes of Stevens and that rolling over. And it was just a matter of just minor side-by-side contact between Philip Howe and Daniel Stevens, which caused us that, and then just sort of a check-up from everybody else. And as a result, it all just turned into a bit of a mess from there.
Yeah, it did. It continued on there as I think that was Lockie Dalton going off the circuit and just fighting in the midfield. There's not much quarter given around here. That's Ryan Maya making rear-end contact there with Cade Donnelly and almost pushing him out of the way. And right there is Philip Howe, you saw on the right-hand side of the screen, just squeezing through as well. So then, we've only got a few minutes left until race 3 gets up and running. We've got 9 laps for the final race of the night. You're watching the Pro Truck Showdown here on SimSpeed TV. We will be back with you very shortly.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness! Half the field's gonna get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God!
God, what?
You're watching the Pro Truck Showdown. As we have seen, if you want to race in this series, just search up Pro Truck Showdown on Facebook and you can get involved in this crazy league. If you've been enjoying what you've been seeing tonight, I know I certainly have been enjoying it, and I know that my friend in the commentary box has been too. For SimSpeed TV, once again, I'm Reese Gardner, and it's Cameron Dance in the commentary box with me. We're looking at the expression session at the moment, Cam. Just 30 seconds to go until we go racing one more time. Ben Snell and Sam Stride have been having a lot of fun out there with each other.
Yeah, they certainly have. They've been sort of doing some tandem drifting at the moment as Snell sends it in nearly 90 degrees sideways on the way to turn number 1, and doing a bit of tandem drifting, or shoving each other off the road at the same time as well.
Yeah, they've made a little bit of contact a few times so far, but nice to see that they can let their hair down and have a good old spin around this track. Actually lends itself quite well to tandem drifting, does Indianapolis. There's flat flowing turns, some short ones as well, and they flow into each other very nicely, which means if you want to hang the tail out, just switch from turn to turn and away you go. But it's time to move away from that for now, because we are getting ready for the final race of the night here in round 5 of the Pro Truck Showdown Season 2 from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Starting from pole in the feature, it's going to be Mitchell McLeod and Justin Howe on the front row. Sam Stride and Ben Snell alongside each other once again, with Philip Howe and Lockie Dalton in 5th and 6th. Dylan and Meyer on row 4, with Joshua Walton and Caleb Hides rounding out the top 10.
And you're going to have on row number 6, it's going to be Sam Devontier and Cade Donnelly, followed by Tim Crowley and Brian Trees. And then you're going to have Daniel Stevens, Tompkins, Priest, Wellman, Morganti, Westbrook to round out the field.
And away we go. The green flag flies, and we are away for the final race of the night. It looked like a good initial launch there from Justin Howe, but McLeod covers him off nicely all the way to driver's right on the run up to turn 1. You see Sam Stride, Ben Snell, and Aaron Dillon right behind them. Lockie Dalton getting himself in there as well. They all pile into turn 1, but McLeod leads the way out. And it looks like he's gotten it done nicely. A much cleaner run through the first couple of turns from all of these drivers. And it looks like just getting ahead of Mitchell McLeod is Justin Howe. And he keeps it ahead through turn 3, turn 4, now down into turn 5. He has taken the lead. A great start here from Justin Howe, but Mitchell McLeod will want it back ASAP. Oh no! Ben Snell right into the back of Mitchell McLeod. They're almost turning him around. And there's Aaron Dillon trying his best to get a run on Sam Stride, but Stridey covers him off. Meanwhile, Lockie Dalton has Ryan Meyer for company as there's been a crash back in the field. That's Sam Devantia off track. Daniel Stevens flipping over, and poor Gary Wellman out there as well, getting involved in that. We'll dissect that a little bit later, because Mitchell McLeod and Justin Howe are fighting tooth and nail for the lead of this race.
Yeah, they certainly are fighting tooth and nail. Mitch is going to want this back as soon as he possibly can. But what an absolutely chaotic start through that hairpin corner. It was just all going off. You had cars going left, right, centre, up and over. It was just anyone's guess as to who was where and doing what.
Yeah, well, there's going to be no guesses here between Justin Howe and Mitchell McLeod, because have a look at Mitch's draft here coming into the final turn. He's gotten a great run through the mid-corner on Justin Howe. But Howe going defensive. This is going to be an interesting run into turn 1 for both of these guys. Unfortunately, we have lost Sam McLeod and Sam Devantia from this session. But the fight lasts to the late breakers pretty much at the same time, Howe and McLeod, and they keep each other nice and honest through these first couple of turns. Ben Snell now sees the opportunity, tries to seize it, but he just cannot at this stage. Justin Howe is pressuring McLeod massively to get that lead back, and he's tapped McLeod wide in turn 4. Take it easy, guys. Too wide, too deep. Almost contact between Snell and Stride, but McLeod now on the inside into this left-hander. Oh, and that contact from Snell just concertinaed McLeod into Howe. Ultimately, it seems like Justin has not been fazed by that. Have a look at Sam Stride on the inside of the turn trying to get past Ben Snell. Tell you what, there's no way that's going to happen anytime soon. But McLeod, again, tries up the inside of Justin Howe. Justin's a little bit braver on the brakes, but McLeod carries it a bit further into the turn. He's overshot it, and Howe gets him right back around the outside, and he's got the inside for turn 10. He's facing off all kinds of drama here as Snell gets turned around there by the car's concertinaing up into turn 10.
It's certainly not what he will have wanted. He did help McLeod a little bit on the way through that corner, but unfortunately ended up getting tapped from behind by Sam Stride, and unfortunately he's ended up facing the wrong way. So it's going to have checked up that field or that little battle pack quite a bit, and as a result, they've lost the lead battle.
Yes, indeed. So it's McLeod and Howe alone on track for the time being. As we take a look from Joshua Walton's perspective, he's just gotten past Brian Meyer on the exit of this turn, and now right in the draft of Aaron Dillon, we look back from him to see that. That's a car smoking quite a bit in the pits. I think that is Brian Trezise. Dillon is nice and brave into turn 1. Walton had one heck of a look, but ultimately couldn't get anything done as it's side by side for the lead. Howe and McLeod once again. McLeod is the championship leader, remember, and he's just won the first 2 races of the night. He will be used to that top spot. He'll want it back as soon as he can.
Yeah, he certainly will want it back as soon as he can, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter if he's won the first 2 races as to whether he doesn't win this next one or not, because he's going to be winning the points for the round anyway. So he's really got to kind of be a little bit of two minds that he doesn't need to win, but he kind of wants to at the same time.
And there's a problem there between Dylan Burse and Cade Donnelly. We're going to grab a replay of that one. It just looks to me like Donnelly, well, he got tapped out of the way there by Dylan Burse. And have a look at this. On the inside of the corner goes Cade and then sends it straight into Mr. Burse. I don't know how that's going to go down with race control. Let's move on, though, to the lead of the race again. Howe holds on from McLeod as they exit the third last corner. Only got 2 flat-out right-handers to go before they're on the next lap, and we're going to be reaching half-race distance pretty soon. But they're keeping it nice and clean for the most part. There hasn't been any huge contact between Howe and McLeod like we've seen in other areas further down the field. You see McLeod just staying a little wide of the final turn apex as they go past Daniel Stevens, who unfortunately down in 19th place now. McLeod's going to try around the outside here of Justin Howe, and it looks like he's a little bit braver on the brakes. Can Howe carry them a bit further into the corner and pressure McLeod to the outside? Unfortunately, it looks like McLeod has done enough to get that move done, just forced it up the inside at turn 2.
Yeah, just managed to get it done in the end, and Dalton launching it up the inside of Howe, and Howe's up and over.
Oh, he's managed to stay on all 4 wheels, but he's gotten into the wall. So Justin Howe, after fighting for the lead, is going to have to go all the way down the field. I reckon he'll probably be 15th, 16th at best. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't think he'll be looking upon that move very kindly. Either way, Lockie Dalton is up into 2nd, and Sam Stride now holds a podium position, which means that there's a bit more to fight for here for Aaron Dillon.
Yeah, certainly is going to be a bit more to fight for Aaron Dillon. It looks like Justin has managed to come out just ahead of Damien Westbrook, so is still inside the top 10, but he will certainly be not very happy with how that move ended for him, unfortunately. So he's going to have a little bit of work to do to catch back up to those ahead of him, but you can see how close Stride he is to the back of Lockie Dalton and looking to try and make a move here, and Dillon's going to be sitting here patiently waiting for something to happen.
That he is, just waiting patiently. Just have a look at Dalton and Stride here, both together and very close. If they come together in turn 1, Aaron Dillon will be right there, maybe Ryan Meyer as well. That's the view back from Lockie, going all the way down into the grass at the first turn. And Stride will have the draft down this straight line section. And the closer you get to that first turn, the more intense the draft gets. He pulls out. Let's see how fast he goes here as Ryan Meyer sets the fastest lap of the race, and that is going to be Sam Stride through for 2nd place on Lockie Dalton. And what were we talking about? Aaron Dillon is right there with them now.
Yeah, he certainly is right there with them now, especially with how that last corner has gone for them. So it's going to be very, very close. It's going to be anyone's guess as to who's going to be ending up in these final 2 spots on the podium, because if these 3 end up actually battling harder then they're going to have the likes of Ryan Meyer, Ben Snell, and even the likes of Joshua Walton even getting into this. So it's really just going to be a matter of using their heads and not being too aggressive with each other.
Yeah, that's it. Oh no, Dalton goes wide there on the run up to the right-hander and lets them go through. That's Daniel Stevens just up ahead of him, lapped car now, obviously, but if things had gone a bit different for Mr. Stevens, he probably would be fighting right up here with these guys for position. So down into 8, 9, and 10 once more. It's a good exit from McLeod, another good exit from Sam Stride. Seems like he's actually starting to gain on McLeod here. The gap is under a second, and crucially, that's pretty much when the draft comes into effect.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's in the critical point that he needs to be to use that draft right to his advantage. So he's going to use it to try and make him move here and on Aaron Dillon, and Dillon's really not going to have anything to sort of defend it from Maya either.
Yeah, that's the way it seems. But Dillon going defensive, staying in the middle of the road. He's going to force Maya to go to the outside here. And who is the bravest? It looks like Dillon was a little bit earlier on the brakes than Maya was, but Ryan locks up and he's going to hold it around the outside and complete the move at turn 2. And look at Lockie Dalton. He's going to try and get up alongside as well. He might have an opportunity down here at the next couple of corners. If Dillon overshoots one of these, he's going to be right there.
Yeah, he certainly is going to be right there if he overshoots one of them. So really does have to make sure he hits his marks and doesn't make any mistakes at this point. So it's going to be very, very close. Now Ben Snell's all over the back of these guys as well. So it's going to be a four-way fight for the final spot inside the podium.
Certainly is. It's also a fight for the last couple spots inside the top 10 as we have a look at Mr. Snell, because Dwayne Priest fighting very hard with Caleb Hydes here. It looks like Hydes unfortunately compromising himself in that turn, and he's going to let Justin Howe back through. Howe, of course, getting spun earlier on and having to work his way back up through the field. Joshua Walton just in front of him. You saw that smoke. That was Walton going way wide into turn 8, and it seems like he's abandoned all semblance of keeping the truck straight through the turns. He's just drifting his way through every one of them now, but seems like he's managed to get himself together again as Daniel Stevens in the number 3 lifts off to let them go. Snell, though, right on the back of Lockie Dalton coming into the final turn. And this is going to be one heck of a draft train with Aaron Dillon, and Ryan Meyer will be looking at this in his mirrors and thinking, oh no.
Yeah, he certainly will be doing exactly that. But certainly it looks like Dalton's going to send it up the inside anyway on the way into turn 1. Going to get the job done very, very easily, in fact. But he runs a little bit deep, and that's going to check them all up. As a result, 3 wide, bit of contact for good measure. 3 wide on the exit of the corner. And Ben Snell is going to drive it around the outside of my only just. But look what's going on behind them. It is an absolute cluster of cars, and 2 by 2 the whole way through.
Yeah, it's Joshua Walton, Dwayne Priest, Justin Howe, Caleb Hydes, and Daniel Stevens. Of course, Stevens and Priest. Oh no, actually, Dwayne Priest there fighting for 8th place in the midst of all of this. So Daniel Stevens with a great view of these proceedings. Joshua Walton, still going side by side with Dwayne Priest into every turn and keeping his car as sideways as he can. Meanwhile, we check back in with McLeod and Stride, and it looks like Sam is starting to gain, but that fight is continuing down at the entry to that straight because Dwayne Priest has gotten the power down. So has Mr. Howe. Have a look at them go. Is Justin going to try and go up the inside of Dwayne Priest into this turn? He's, some of the way there, but Mr. Walton goes for it, hits him for good measure, and oh no, Caleb Hydes he actually goes for it there. Walton getting himself crossed up, and he's put himself all the way to the back of this train now.
Yeah, he certainly has put himself to the back of the train, unfortunately, and he's probably not going to want to be in that sort of position either, but he's probably not in too bad a shape currently with 2 laps to go. So if we can pick them off one by one, he should be in a reasonably good position come the end of the race. But Snell's going to look to the inside of it. Aaron Dillon on the way into turn number 1. Who's going to have the biggest and the bravest kahunas? It looks like it's going to be Ben Snell. Aaron Dillon is going to be left to hang out to dry, and Snell's going to gain position there and now be on the attack for Lockie Dalton.
Yeah, and you see how much momentum Snell carried through the first couple turns there as checking back in once again with Priest and Howe. Have a look at Caleb Hydes. He is over the back of Priest. This is ridiculous racing at the moment. Try to move, but ultimately didn't work. Once again, Snell continuing his pursuit here of Lockie Dalton, and big inside usage of the corner there. That could help him out, or maybe not, because Lockie Dalton just powers out of the corner beautifully. Isn't able to break free, though, and he's got quite a gap to Sam Stride, the truck in front. And Snell, as brave as he is on the brakes, is going to be keeping him honest for the entirety of the race left to run, which is 1 and a bit laps.
Yeah, he certainly is going to be keeping him honest, and he's really going to just have to sit and be patient here to make the move at the right time. If you can pull away, he might be all right to make it this time by, but he's certainly going to need to be patient. And with the draft being the way it is, he's probably actually in a good position to just sit there, and if he can get the run on the final lap, he'll be in for a shot for the win.
Have to wait and see. Mitchell McLeod goes to the middle of the road and then to driver's right to protect against Sam Stride, but that draft, that momentum is just unassailable. McLeod's only chance is to outbrake him again at turn 1, and he does. Let's see if he can hold it into the first turn. He does indeed. Sam Stride wise to it and saw McLeod coming, gave him the requisite room. Good to see some respect between these guys racing at the front. Ben Snell, meanwhile, has cleared Lockie Dalton and is now in 3rd place. Looks to me like that is going to be secured for now as Dalton continues to chase. Meanwhile, the battle for the last couple positions in the top 10 looks like Justin Howe has won the battle for 7th, and Damian Westbrook now looking to break back into the top 10. His target is Joshua Walton, but here's another opportunity for Sam Stride to send one up the inside of Mitch McLeod. It's going to be one of his last chances. What can he do? Down into turn 8. Bit wide, too wide. McLeod continuing to hold the momentum here. Stride's got to make sure that his exit from these next 2 turns is impeccable. Go round to the outside, bring it in. Late apex, use all of the curb, all the tarmac on the inside. McLeod sliding out of the final corner, the final proper corner anyway. And it looks like he's done enough. Hanging the tail out on the exit of the second last turn. Mitch McLeod is going to make it 3 from 3 here tonight at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Perhaps one of the finest drives in terms of round that I have seen. Crosses the line, and it is McLeod and Stride, your top 2. Meanwhile, Lockie Dalton almost got Ben Snell back on the run up to the line, but Snell manages to hold him off, and the number 92 of Caleb Hydes now into 10th place. He's managed to keep it here from Mr. Walton. Oh, into the wall across the line, and that is going to suit it. That was actually for 8th and 9th there. Dwayne Priest rounding out the top 10. Meanwhile, Ricardo Morganti and Gary Wellman. Looks like Morganti just coming home to finish just up ahead of these guys, but through the final turn they go. And that's going to be a very close fight between Morganti and Wellman across the line. Not much time between them. Only 0.2 of a second, maybe 3 at the most. So there we go then. The last race of the night, and I think it's pretty obvious that Mitchell McLeod is the round winner of this one, taking the win in all 3 races tonight. Sam Stride and Ben Snell completing the podium, though, in race 3. That's a good way to end the night for them. Lockie Dalton in 4th, and Ryan Meyer getting a top 5 for his troubles. Aaron Dillon comes home in 6th. Justin Howe, well, he would have been hoping for more. He could have won that one, but has to settle for 7th. Caleb Hydes, Joshua Walton, and Dwayne Priest rounding out the top 10, covered by 21 seconds.
There you go. Over the page, and Westbrook's going to come home in 11th. Howe in 12th. Crowley in 13th. 14th to Dylan Burse. Harry Tompkins rounding out the top 15. Ricardo Morganti in 16th. 17th to Gary Wellman. Daniel Stevens comes home in 18th. 1 lap down, and Traziz comes home in 19th. And Kay Donnelly rounds out the top 20.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kay Donnelly, I think, retiring after that incident that we saw earlier on with the 21 of Dylan Burse. Either way, that brings to an end proceedings for tonight, and it was another fantastic round of the Pro Truck Showdown. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the road course here, actually producing some good racing, and I'm looking forward, Cam, to wherever we're racing at for the next round, because, as with every week, we don't know where we're racing next week.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those things about the series is it's a complete surprise till the end of the week. So there's a very, very limited testing time for all these drivers. So it really does spice it up and brings the best out of the drivers. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what we see next week.
Yes, indeed. And you can catch it right here at the same time next week, Wednesday night, here on SimSpeed TV. Certainly hope that you've enjoyed the show tonight. We want to thank once again the sponsors of this series, Scamander Coffee Mug, Allstate Security Tasmania, and Hot Toddy's Heating Installs. What will the Pro Truck Showdown bring next? Whatever it is, it's certainly going to be fun. From us at SimSpeed, it's bye for now, but not forever.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?